Hello, students. So, comprehensions with more than one variables. Well, it doesn't necessarily just mean that we are nesting our comprehensions, like using a comprehension to make the iterable for the next. Here's an example. Suppose um, you wanted to know which numbers were products of, let's say, a lot of school children memorize the multiplication table from 1 through 10. Some do it from 1 through 12. I don't know. Let's stick to 1 through 10 here. Let's say we want to get all the numbers that can appear in that sort of a multiplication table. Well, what could we do? We could say we want the set of x times y. You see, I can't do x times x there because then I'd only get the squares, right? 1, 4, 9, and so on. So I need x times y. And what do I want? Well, I want x to be in the set 1 through 10. I need to put a range around that. And I want y to be in the same set. Let's see if Python understands what we're doing. And you'll see that it actually does. And these are all the different numbers that you can get that you would find in a 10 by 10 multiplication table. So it's perfectly possible to be grabbing elements from two different containers when you're trying to assemble these comprehensions. What's another situation where you might want to do something like that? Well, let's just say I want all the triples with values, I don't know, 0, 1, or 2. So what I could do is, and just use different letters for a change, just to keep things interesting. I could do something like this. And what this is going to do is it's going to give me every possible tuple. Did I say triple before? I meant tuples. I might have said it right. This gives me every tuple with entries from 0, 1, or 2. So I needed two different variables here because if I were to do something like this, I would just get these. And if I were to do something like this, well, that's just, I don't even want to consider doing this. Um, yeah, I mean, what's going on here is actually a little complicated. What it's doing is it's letting a be 0, right? And then here it's going to do a equals 0, 1, or 2 once this a is set to 0. So we have two different a's. This is very confusing. Don't ever use the same variable to mean two different things in a comprehension. But you'll see you can sort of see what's happening. Here a is 0, and now here it's going to set a to 0 and give me 0, 0. Then here it's going to set a to 1 and give me 1, 1. Here it's going to set a to 2 and give me 2, 2. Then it sets this a to 1, and then over here it sets a to 0, 1, and 2. So really what we got is 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2. But since it's a set, we don't have repetition, and this is what we got. That was a very long example to just say one thing. Don't ever do that. That's bad. Use different variables. So, I mean, Z is fine. I used a B before, but yeah. So this doesn't work. What I had here and hate, absolutely hate, but did it in front of you anyway, just to show you how bad it was. Um, don't be afraid to play with things in Python and see what happens. That's some advice as well. So, but we couldn't have done this without having two different variables here. We needed that. Um, I mean, unless we do some tricks from some libraries that I'm not ready to show you yet. Okay. Suppose I wanted to know the collection of all differences of squares, right? So a squared minus b squared, right? What values can we get? And I need to know what numbers I'm allowing myself to plug into A. Let's just say we're going to go from 1 through 8. And these are all the numbers that I get that are differences of squares. So that's another example of a comprehension that has more than one variable in it. And those will come up a bit because sometimes, what do we have that has more than one variable in it? Lots of things in math, even basic geometry, things like Pythagorean triples, which we may be playing with in a little bit. Let's see what we could do if we wanted all the a squareds plus b squareds, not Pythagorean triples, plus c squareds. Just to show you an example. And we're going to get quite a large collection here. So these are all the numbers that I can get, which are equal to a sum of 3 squares, where these numbers are in the range from 1 to 8. So, I mean, you can imagine the smallest number should be 3, right? Because the smallest these could each be is 1. And the largest this could be is when we have 8 and 8 and 8, which is going to be 64 times 3, which is going to give us this 192. So don't be afraid to have comprehensions with more than one variable in it, especially if you're trying to describe something that involves more than one variable.